Hello everyone, this is Jyotsna. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So currently we are going through the JavaScript tutorials. This is tutorial number 15 and here in this tutorial we will going to see the JavaScript loop control statements. So we already have discussed about different loops we have in JavaScript. For example, for loop, while or do while loop, and the conditional statements. Also we have another video regarding this if else or switch statements. All these statements are already discussed in our previous tutorials. So in this tutorial we will see the JavaScript loop control statements. Means there are two control statements we use while we work with JavaScript loops. So in this tutorial first we will see what are the control statements and the different control statements with the example. So first we will start with the control statements which we have in JavaScript. Why we use the control statements and what are those statements? So as I said, JavaScript provides full control to handle the loops and switch statements. So loops like for, while or do while loops and the switch statements. So while using these loops or statements, we use different control statements to control the loops. Means whenever we want to get out of the loop or without executing some codes in a loop, that time we can use the control statements. There may be a situation when you need to come out of the loop without reaching its bottom. Means not executing all the code or all the statements in that loop. If you want to come up out of the loop, we can use these control statements. And there may also be a situation when you want to skip part of a code, as I said, and start the next iteration of the loop. We can use the control statements. And to handle those such situations, we have the control statements like break and continue. So we will see one by one these break statements, how and where we can use and how it will work in the loops. So these statements are used to immediately come out of the any loop or to start the next iteration of any loop respectively. So first we will start with a break statement. As name suggests, it used to break the loop we have currently in. So it is used to exit a loop early. Means if you want to exit with some condition is true in a loop, then if you want to exit from the loop, then you can use this break statement. So here one example is given. And this is a while loop where I am checking the x value is greater than 20 or not. If I have already defined x value with some other values, for example, x is 0, and now I'm checking if x is less than 20. So it will go into this condition loop and it will again check if x is equal to 5, but currently my x is 0, so it will not go inside this if loop. And again I will increase this x with some value like x is x plus plus, means now x is 1. So while like this, when x is 5, after incrementing x by some value, when this condition is true, it will go into this loop and break the loop. Means only that time when x is equal to um, 5, that time it will go into this loop and it will breaks out of the loop completely. Okay, so it will break out the loop means it will break out of this while loop completely. So it won't check for the next text value in this while loop. So if these kind of situations are there, we can use this break statement to come out of the loop. Here also pictorial representation is given. We will check for the condition. If it is true, condition block, which is a break statement, will get executed. Otherwise it will check for the next iteration of that loop. So this is about the break statement. Now next is continue statement. So as the name suggests, the continue statement tells the interpreter to immediately start the next iteration of the loop and skip the remaining code block. So there are some situations where we don't want to come out of the loop, but we want to continue with the same loop next with next iteration. Only for the given condition, if you want to like break from that loop. That time we use the continuous statements. When a continuous statement is encountered, the program flow moves to the loop check expression immediately, and if the condition remains true, then it start the next iteration. So otherwise the control comes out of the loop. So here one example is given. Here in this for loop, I have one variable I is equal to 0 and I condition is there I is less than 10 and I plus plus increment is given. So it will go into this loop and it will check if I is equal to 3. So currently I is not equal to 3. So it will just go into this text is equal to the number is I, which is 0. So it will print this first line. Now again it will go to the for loop and now the I value is plus plus means I is 1. So again it will check for the this condition, and if it is true and this condition is false, then again it will print this number is 1. Again it will do the same for I plus plus means I plus I is equal to 2. So that time also it will print the number is 2. But when the I is equal to 3, it will check this condition now. Now this condition is true. Previously I was equal to 2, so that time it condition was false. But now my I is equal to 3, so this condition is true. That time it will go into this loop and it will like you execute this continue statement, and it will come out of this. It won't execute the next statements. It will directly go to the next iteration means I is equal to 4. Now the condition is false, so it will just execute this line. The number is 4. So likewise it will now execute all the I statements up to 9. So like this continuous statement works. It will only take you out of the current loop and will go to the next iteration when we use the continuous statements. The next is JavaScript labels. So a label is simply an identifier followed by a colon that is applied to a statements or a block of code. Also, label can be used with break and continue to control the flow more precisely. For example, syntax is given here. If I have break statement to use, and I can even give the label name where I want to use the break statement. Also continue with the label name. Here the continue statement with or without label references can only be used to skip one loop iteration. Here we can use the continue with label name to skip only one loop iteration, but the break statement without a label reference can only be used to jump out of the loop or a switch statement. With a label reference, the break statements can be used to jump out of any code block. So we can come out of the any code block when we use the break statement with the label name. There we have one example with the labels. So here I have this variable cars where I have initialize this BMW, Volvo, Saab, and for all these arrays there for with all these values. And I have another variable text which is empty. Now in a list I'm taking the text plus is equal to car of at the 0th position and car at the 1st position means BMW Volvo, and I'm using this break list means using this label name list here, and after that I'm printing the remaining two um, elements from the array. So what will happen here, when the execution start, it will go into this list and then it will print first and second element BMW Volvo. But when the third statement comes, it will execute this break list statement and it will come out of the loop, out of the whole loop. So it won't print the next two elements from the list. So this is the output for this code. So likewise, we can use the labels in front of break statements or a continue statements. So this is all about the different control statements we have for the loop and switch statements. Thank you so much for watching the video.